What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another edition of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Ted, aka Steady, and we got another fantastic show for you guys. We are continuing our discussions on Andor, She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, and Rings of Power. For those of you still sticking around and watching that show, but let's bring everybody else in. You know him as the man behind the magic, of course. I'm talking about Joe Garcia.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Excited to talk about anything else but Rangz.
And he's also my partner in crime. You know him as Matty B.
Today is going to be an episode of all episodes. Tune in and peep the merch. Okay, Google Red Bubble Countdown City Geekcast. Hop on there and get something. This shirt is sick.
We'll make it easy for everybody, and we'll drop the link in the chat. Or Matt, you could drop the link in the chat for him.
I think
Make
I
it
can.
easy on him,
I
bro.
can
Make it easy.
once we get a few comments and then I'll drop the
Well,
link.
I got an idea here where we don't have to drop the link in anything anymore. So we're going to try it out next episode.
Oh, but it's so good to be here, boys. There's some news afoot. And there's some good episodes of things, and there's some bad episodes of things, right?
Yeah, we can skip Rangz, Maddie. We don't need to be talking about that. Not this week.
Well, what
you got for us?
Oh, okay. Ted,
no, I said what? I said what you got for us?
Me?
Yeah, you.
What do you mean? You talking about my new segment?
Yeah. What do you got for us?
Yeah. Well, no, that doesn't come until later.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, again, if you want to see the new segment that's being released, that's going to come around the Hot D portion. So just look forward to that.
All right.
I kind of know what it is.
Everybody's in anticipation now.
Yeah, we can't reveal everything, Teddy.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, if you are joining us tonight, we want to hear from you guys. What are you most excited to talk about this week? Can I just say and take a moment to reflect all these TV shows we're watching? I just watched Werewolf by Night earlier today because I wanted it fresh in my mind. And like, we are doing so good as fans of comic books and sci-fi and horror. We got Halloween Ends this weekend. We have shows dropping later this year. We got Black Adam dropping later this month. Like, we are doing so well right now. I'm just enjoying. I'm sitting back. I'm enjoying all of it. I'm just loving the season that we're in right now. You guys feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's a good time to be a geek. Let's put it like that. Especially now that, I was privy to see not only Werewolf by Night, but also Hellraiser back to back. I sat down and watched these two movies back to back with the wife, she was quite excited because horror is her thing. And I get tired, burnt out on horror, but I said I'll make an exception for these two films. Sat down and watched these with her, made her happy, and got to watch a good movie.
That sounds like a good night to me, sir.
Yeah, it was good times.
You did it right. You did it right.
Good times on a Saturday.
Well, as I already mentioned, we're going to be talking about Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, or Hot D, as Maddie as Maddie likes to call it, Hot D.
Hot D.
We're also going to be talking about Andor, but first, we're going to be talking all about the episode of the season we've been waiting for. That's right. Daredevil finally showed up in episode 8 of She-Hulk. That teaser or that hint that we got way back when, what was it, San Diego Comic-Con is when they dropped that teaser, right, of Daredevil flying in his comic accurate colored suit. Finally got that episode. You know how we do. We start each and every discussion of this series and all series with a short summary, and it goes a little something like this.
Say the name of this episode. It was hilarious.
She-Hulk, episode 8. Rob it and rip it. All right, here we go. Jen's new client, Leapfrog, creates some drama for her and her current costume designer. Enter Matt Murdock, who gets in the way of Jen winning her case, but he does help her see the true nature of her new client. The two of them rescue Luke Jacobson from the lily pad and celebrate back at her place afterwards. The next day, she heads to her awards gala, and as she's giving her acceptance speech, someone outs her personal life and trashes the party. This sends her into a frenzy and ruins her reputation. Gentlemen, what did y'all think about episode 8 of She Hulk? Maddie B, let's start with you, sir.
Oh man, I gotta go first. I think me and Joe watched this around the same time. I remember a text into the group chat of going through this episode, and the first thing I think that I can speak for him for too a little bit is, wow. This was the episode. This was the type of She-Hulk we were really looking for. Some nuances of the episode, because I had made complaints earlier in the show about how I don't love how the law portion of the show goes. It's almost overly silly, where you can't take the judge serious. The cases that's not how courtrooms work. The second Matt Murdock was in the chair, the courtroom scenes instantly changed for me. He brought a level of seriousness back to like what we were doing here, and kind of put Jen in her place, but in a like a not like I don't care how you feel about this type of way. I'm trying to show you who I am type of way, which is Matt Murdock too, playing games. Um, and I love that scene. She made him do the walk of shame, fellas, shoes in hand.
Oh man.
That was a hilarious scene right there. The hallway fight scene with Daredevil too, I thought was incredibly good. This was like my favorite episode by far. After I watched the first 2 to 3 episodes, this is what I was hoping it was going to lead into, and it did. And I thought this episode did it fantastically.
I'm glad you're back on board because the last couple of weeks it seemed like you were jumping off, and we said, "Look,
Yeah.
look, look." We kind of discussed this as a team, the weeks that you were out. So it's like
Yeah.
you're gonna get to where we're at. It just needs a little bit more time, and you're there now. So yeah, I'm glad you're back on board.
The prodigal
Uh,
son has returned.
are you talking about like? And so has also the Legacy of Nerds saying, "What's up, guys?" in the chat.
Up.
What's going on, sir? Good to see you again. Good to see you. Joe, please tell me you are as hyped for this episode as Maddie B is.
Yeah, I liked it, man. I thought it was a great episode. This is kind of what I think everybody was anticipating an episode of She-Hulk to be from the very beginning. But of course, they have to introduce, you know, Hulk and She-Hulk and kind of move on from there. And we get to see a whole bunch of other things that were going on. But I think they just kind of wasted a little bit of time. They should have just got into this kind of stuff right away instead of really dealing with just a lot of the lawyer jargon and things that just didn't seem very in tune with what comic book fans were looking for. Yes, it was an offbeat comedy and all that, but this really brought everything together. You still had the comedy, you had the action, you had the intrigue of not knowing what was really going on, who was behind everything, pulling the strings. I mean, this episode delivered on all fronts, and looking at it more than just a She-Hulk episode, looking at it as an episode from a streaming service such as Disney Plus, comparing that to like Netflix and what you're seeing on Amazon right now. This was a really good episode.
The
Regardless of
CGI
what
was
you look at.
great.
Yeah, everything
CGI
was
was great.
beautifully done. Even the storyline, the writing for this particular episode was on point. You liked everything about it, especially the frogger, you know,
Oh
ribbit
yeah.
and rip it or whatever he says. I mean, it's just freaking hilarious, man. And then I think it was a lot of other things that we got to kind of be privy to. We the veil was kind of pushed back a little bit, and we're starting to learn more and more about the guys who are trying to bring the downfall of one She-Hulk. And as we heard, I think it was very telling, but kind of one of these things that you got to really pay attention to. When Jen went into the her boss's chambers, his office, was telling him, look, man, well, she was talking to him about what was going on with the client, the kid, Frogger. And what he kind of said something there that was very interesting to me. It was that the kid's father is really the man in power there. He holds a lot of prestige with this certain law firm. He has a lot of money, a lot of influence, So I'm starting to see, okay, maybe the boss of Jen has kind of been the puppet, and the puppeteer has been that gentleman the whole time.
But we
So
caught that early, right? I think
yeah,
all of us had that inclination a little bit,
What?
right?
No, no, no.
I thought it
I,
was the
Don't
boss
tell
was
everybody.
involved.
no, I was very much on this edge of like, I think that her boss could certainly be a villain.
Where are
Yeah,
the
well,
receipts? Where are the
I had
The-
told
receipts?
I
They're
had told
online, they're posted.
I had
I,
told Teddy back way back, I think it was in like episode 3 or 4. I was like, you know what? It kind of seems like this guy's up to no good, you know?
Yeah.
And Ted said the same thing at that same point in time. We're not trusting the guy. We knew that there was something else going on, you know?
you were talking about Abomination being the bad guy behind the scenes last week.
We were also talking about the boss too. We have the receipts because they can go back and look at the other episode.
But also what we were all kind of on the conclusion of is it could be anyone.
Yeah.
And based on what we've seen, I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for the next episode,
I
but
know.
the Hulk is punching the Abomination in the next episode. So sorry to
Ooh.
spoil it for anyone, but the trailer is going to be released here very soon. I saw it earlier today though,
Yeah.
but the
Starting to come
Abomination
together.
and the Hulk is going to be back in this next episode, and some things are going to go down that I think a lot of people are playing bad. Now, who's the big bad? Who's in charge? I think it's still. I don't think her boss is there. Somebody above him, and then her boss was kind of playing with the
Yeah,
game,
he's the
and there's going to
puppet.
be other players playing with the game
Yeah,
too.
he's the puppet. We're gonna find out who the puppeteer really is, but
Yeah,
it seems like everybody that's been introduced through the series is really coming to a head now in this next episode. It's gonna bring everything together and kind of show you who all the characters are, you know. And it hasn't just been by happen chance that Jen has been put in these awkward situations, and even I believe Titania, everything from the Abomination and everything that's been going on has been set up throughout the series for what's to come now. And it's probably
yeah.
going to be one of those cliffhanger episodes where you're like, oh, I want to know more. What happened? That's going to bring everybody back to, hey, She Hulk wasn't so bad. It was pretty good.
Yeah. And
Besides the CGI and everything, it was a lot of fun.
my only hope is that it doesn't end up just like that, where all these people we thought were against her actually are against her, and she's overwhelmed, and then the Hulk has to come in and save her. So I'm hoping that there's a little bit more to it than that in the next episode.
Maybe
Um,
it's just something as simple as family needing some help. So you're going to
Sure.
call on your most trusted sources, because if you look at it from Jen's perspective, all these people that she was taking on as clients, people that she was trusting to some degree, it seems like everything's being set up to, you know, go ahead and betray her. So I mean, if something like that happens to you, you're going to want to have somebody you can trust, and who better than another Hulk, you know?
is Matt Murdock in New York still? Do you think he'll come back and help? Do you think Daredevil's going to step back in?
I think he's
Uh,
done.
you think he's done? That was
I
it.
do. Yeah, I do. And not to say that we don't need him anymore, but it kind of fits the format of the show. Nobody is kind of overstaying their welcome. We're having sort of a good sort of a
It's
rotating
speed
door
dating.
of characters
Yeah.
and
Well,
I,
what
I
didn't he
I
get
just
called
like
away
that
or something?
there's say it again.
Didn't he get called away, right? He had other
Ah,
business to attend to.
I think all she said was how long are you staying, and he says I leave tomorrow. That's
Well,
all
he
he
was
said.
going to Sakaar, right? So he was going to the planet, which is World War
Oh,
Hulk.
you're
Kind
talking
of.
about Hulk. I think Joe's talking about
No, I'm
Oh,
Daredevil.
talking about Daredevil.
oh,
He
Daredevil. Yeah,
had
he
other
went back to
things
New
he
York.
had to do. Yeah.
Yeah, he said I'm going back to New York, whatever. The classic after hookup phrase. Yeah, I gotta
Okay,
go.
so somewhere in these episodes that we've been talking about, I think it was one of the first two, or probably one of the first two. I did say if my money would go first on the boss. I don't have the evidence of why it's him, but if I'm writing this story, my money's on the boss. Now, if I want to write a very compelling story, I would have said my money would be on the best friend, because a traitorous best friend in this whole situation would be even more compelling of a story. Now, do I think they're going to do that? I don't think so, because her best friend in this series is just too damn cute, and I would hate for them to kind of bicker and all that nonsense. So I said from the beginning, I think my money is on the boss. But the Abomination thing and Hulk fight, that is interesting, but it could also be a what you call it, a misdirect, where they kind of tease this is going to happen and they kind of want us to lean one way, but I just want Abomination to sort of, I want this whole transformation of his to be true. I don't want it to be a farce. I don't want it to be a cover up for what
It's
he's
a
really
farce. I
doing.
don't believe the dude. Never
I
have.
All right, and I believe that you believe that, and I believe that like it could possibly happen. I don't want it to be true. I want everything that we've
I'm
witnessed so
on
far to
board
be
with you
true.
though, Ted. I'm totally on board with you. I would love later in the MCU if like a superhero gets overwhelmed and they like need a little bit of help that we randomly get. They can call in a favor to the Abomination if the Hulk isn't around. David's, he's. I'm on board with the transformation. I think it wouldn't suck.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what? Maybe
Let me
we're
get caught up in the
fixing.
chat real quick.
Yeah.
Reed's in the chat. He's saying, "What's up? What's going on, Rudy? Good to see you again, brother." Rick apparently got scammed out of a Sharks jersey. Dude, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. And Legacy Nerd says, Uh, Jen also learned that Hulk was pretty much right about everything that he warned her about. Yeah. It's like this isn't going to be easy. Your whole life is going to change. People are going to come after you from the woodwork. People will turn on you on a dime, right? And so she's going through all that. She's experiencing that, and sucks. But she's got to come out of this some which way somehow. So looking forward to it.
One of the
Read.
things that I was going to say is when we referenced one of the other episodes, I think it was either this one or the one before, Jen was like throwing a joke and she's like, "Who are we going to see? A red Hulk?" And we
Mm.
remember that I think they did get a sample of her blood. So you wonder what is going to be happening next. So maybe we'll see a different variation of a Hulk, whether it be a gray or a red.
So this is actually a really short trailer. Do you mind if we just played it really quick of what the next episode is going to be?
Yeah, we could do that.
Because it's actually like it's interesting on some things that may change our perspective.
There you go. You should get
You
it.
have
You got
to
it.
enable the
Yeah.
audio.
So the audio's good, you think?
We'll see.
This is my show. Why don't we do things our own way? She-Hulk smash. What is the responsibility of those with power? Those with the most power have a duty to protect those without it.
Call my lawyer.
I'm gonna whoop your ass.
My ass remains unwhooped.
Yeah, let's fix that.
She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Original series now streaming only on Disney+.
Very short there.
Yeah, but we saw a lot.
I don't know. It looked to me like it was a lot of a rehash of some of the footage from the previous episode strung together to make it look like something exciting was about to happen. So I think it might be misdirect, like Teddy said.
Well, I
Let
also
me share. Let me share.
that's
Let me share
Marvel
again.
that's Marvel's playbook, right? Like playing everything really close to the chest, not showing their cards. So yeah, we got the tease of Abomination and Hulk, which Matt's going to show right now, and I think that's all good, well, and fine. I like that they're showing that, but I also think that they didn't show us anything else from the finale, and
Yeah.
that's intentional. That's intentional. They're saving some big things. That's what I'm thinking right now.
The Legacy of Nerd says it was only 2 new scenes. LOL. I gotta kind of agree with the dude. It was only two new scenes. A lot of it was just rehashed old footage from previous episodes. So really good on Marvel for not revealing too much, just enough to get you excited.
Play it
Yeah.
safe. Play
But
it
we
safe.
do see the Hulk and Abomination
No, no.
fighting. Something
throwing
has to
down.
lead to
Yeah,
that.
that's exciting. No doubt.
They're throwing down, and I actually hope, again, putting my writer's cap on, there's some sort of controlling device maybe in place, maybe that inhibitor that he wears. Why am I forgetting his name?
Emil Blonsky.
Blonsky. Maybe the inhibitor that Blonsky wears can also be used to control him and when he turns and what he does while he turns. I know I'm just wishful thinking, but I so want to believe that Blonsky's turning over a new leaf is true because this whole elaborate life that he created, I don't want it to be fake. So I'm hoping that it's absolutely true.
Yeah, I don't believe that he's changed his ways, man. Like I said, I think people forget what a badass he was in the original movie, The Hulk. And what he was able to do, hold his own against a fully powered up Hulk. I mean, that kind of stuff just doesn't go away. You can try to suppress it, or he's a good actor. I'll give him that, but I just don't believe him.
Yeah. But what if it's not Smart Hulk who returns from Sakaar? What if it's not Smart Hulk? What if he's out of control when he gets back because he may
Maybe
have
it's
found
a
out?
gray or a red Hulk. That would be awesome.
But you know,
It could be a tease, at least for what's to come from the Thunderbolts movie. Legacy Nerd says maybe it's a different Abomination, and that's also true. And he also says, remember those dummy trailers from Infinity War that the scenes were never in the movie? Yeah, them running out of the sort of the tree line, Hulk being in the shot, which
Yeah.
he was only in the first 15 minutes of the movie, and that was it. So I think that they're just saving a lot of things. I think there's going to be some big reveals in the finale. Don't quote me on that, but my money's on the boss. And don't ask me for evidence. Don't ask me for receipts about why I think that is. I just think, as far as narrative wise, the biggest twist is going to be the boss. Why? We'll see why. I don't know what the motivation is. Probably has to do with something about either controlling mutants or, I said mutants, superpowered people. Not too many mutants yet. Controlling them in some way or inhibiting them in some way, reducing the power that they have. Lex Luthor type stuff, right?
Well,
Yes,
remember
I
what
know
they
that's
did?
DC. I know we're talking about Marvel.
Yeah, there was an in the episode. I think it was one of the early episodes of She-Hulk. Banner had alluded to that if they were able to get Jen's blood, they would be able to formulate some type of concoction where it would permanently take away their powers. So that's a weapon in itself. I wonder if that's the reason behind them wanting her blood. You know,
I would say for
Absolutely.
sure. It's. I think there's a government entity that we're going to find out is the big bad.
Department of Damage
For now,
Control.
yes, or maybe even something other than that, right? So I think it's going to be a government entity, but I'm very excited to see what happens in this finale. I can tell you that I'm going to be ready and tuned in right when it premieres because I can't wait.
You-
The way it ended, and she actually lost control for the first time. The big theme was that she was in control of it the whole time. That was the first time we saw her actually get Hulk angry and Hulk out, right?
yeah.
So she might be a little brutal in this next episode, which would be kind of cool.
Well, I was gonna say, did y'all catch the guess the foot soldiers that they had there, just waiting for her, to kind of subdue her? It's like, how did they get there that quick? That means that the guys, the hackers, or whoever was revealing the video, had already told them ahead of time this was gonna happen because they
They
were
got there
ready.
real quick. They were on standby. They're like,
Yeah,
we'll be right here.
they were ready. They had their vehicles and they had that sonic weapon, that will kind of subdue her because it emits a high frequency that just,
But
really irritates them.
would it? I think she could have just smashed him, right, or at least took his
It'll
mask off and
slow
saw
her
who it
down.
was.
It'll slow her down, no doubt, for a couple seconds, but they were ready. They had a plan in place, and it's like to have a
She was
squad
set
of
up.
people. Yeah, to have a squad of people there already just waiting. They already knew what's going to happen.
Yeah,
She was
it was.
absolutely set up,
Yeah.
and if you do anything to try and defend yourself, it just makes everything worse. You cannot make the situation any worse by defending or fighting these dudes off. It's best what she absolutely did and just go quietly. Legacy Nerd says he's related to General Ross. You talking about Holloway? Holloway is related to Ross? Did not
Hmm.
know that. It's a comic thing. And then he also says he takes off his mask and he's actually Betty Ross. Ooh, plot twist. Plot twist. Awesome.
One of the things that I think we forget here is, even though, you know, this goes back to looking at a lot of the other characters in the MCU. Even though some of them are super powered, others are not. It seems like the ones that are super powered, their biggest weakness is what happens to them in just everyday life as a human being. What happens when you prey on their humanity, so to speak. And I think that's the same thing that we're seeing with Jen, even though she is a Hulk and she's super powered and bigger than life itself, the weakness is exploiting her humanity, the human aspect of her, and they want everybody else to see her as she really is, and that's kind of scary when you think about it as a human being. We all have little things that we would not want to have come out, mistakes in the past or whatnot. But nowadays, even just hacking the phone, and being able to just put that out there in your searches and everything else that you're doing, quite embarrassing. And not only that, but her sexual escapades up there on the big screen in front of her parents, no less. All that stuff is
Yeah.
truly embarrassing. So
Yeah, she
it's
got
like,
the ultimate docs.
yeah, she did.
And what you're talking about is actually very important, and I think it's a reason why they would want to bring a Logan type Wolverine back into the MCU, is literally talking about how hard it is for superheroes in their normal life. That was always the good juxtaposition that they had, was that it was always harder for Superman to be Clark Kent than it was for him to be Superman. And the MCU has lost that a little bit, and they started that with the Avengers, and they started that with Iron Man. Like, Tony Stark was always just kind of Tony Stark. It didn't like in Captain America was always just kind of Captain America. Thor is always just Thor. And David Banner had that a little bit, obviously, with the Hulk of the difference between the two. But DC for a long time did a lot better of showing that juxtaposition, even with Superman or Batman or whatever it might be. And Marvel kind of lost that a little bit. So I do like them bringing that into her character a lot. Of it's easier for me to be the Hulk than it is Jen Walters, which is like showing the duality of the characters.
Yeah, definitely.
Last thing I'll say about this episode is that it's extremely entertaining from start to finish. I love the jokes. I love the humor. I love the banter between Matt and Jen. They're so damn cute together. Tatiana Maslany is just cute all by herself. She's just so
Yeah,
damn charming. It's
I
hard
think
not to
she's very
like her.
cute. She's
She's
awesome.
so damn charming in this episode. Also, quick Wolverine reference at the end. Nikki comes out with like pens and pencils between her fingers, 3 on each side. So snick
Mhm.
snick. Um, pretty all around great episode. Loved the small or short choreography that we got from Matt Murdock in this episode. I thought it was great and just fun. The entire episode's fun. This was clearly the best one of the season thus far,
Yeah, we
and
didn't even
I'm
mention the
excited to
suit.
see how they stick the landing.
Yeah, we didn't even mention her suit. We had waited so long to see the
Oh, true.
comic
That's the first
how
appearance.
close to the comic it was going to be, and it was spot on. So that's exactly what fans had been waiting for, to see her in that costume, that outfit. So that was a big moment as well.
Right? Absolutely.
Comic accurate costume.
Comic accurate.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Daredevil making his second appearance in the MCU after he appeared in No Way Home. So we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you thought about Rivet and Rip It, the eighth episode of She-Hulk. Let us know in the comments below. You can always send us a message on Facebook by clicking that send message button. Or if you're listening to us on our podcast right now, you can email us on the contact page of our website at
What a
www.countdowncitygeekcast.com.
catchphrase, Teddy. Ribbit and rip it.
Ribbit
good.
and rip it. So damn funny. Next, we're actually going to be talking about Andor. So let's travel to
Oh
a
no.
galaxy far,
Let's
far
not. Let's not.
away. And Joe's so excited right now.
No,
But
man.
Andor, episode 5. You know how we do. The summary goes a little something like this. Cassian awakens having his possessions confiscated and searched. Some still question his intentions, but he proves his value with knowledge of the enemy. To try and ease the worries of his team, he reveals that he's actually being paid. And pretty much this episode is about the team getting ready to put their plan into place. The Imperial security forces are sort of trying to stumble upon the evidence which will lead them to this conspiracy of a rebellion that's building. But they also have an inside man, and he's pretty much laid the foundation for this plan to succeed. So I love how like everything's falling into place. It's almost too perfect the way things are going, and I think that's going to speak probably make some trouble for them in the next episode. But very exciting. All looking forward to it. Joe, we'll start with you this time. Your thoughts on the Axe Forgets, episode 5 of Andor.
Well, I wish I forgot this episode because it was extremely boring. At this point, Andor, I get it's slow burn, it's build up, build up, build up, but they are just painstakingly taking forever to get to the goods. I think it's the pacing that really I have an issue with at this point, and it's just they're just dragging out the storyline even more and more and more. We already know Cassian's been put with this ragtag group of people, these other members of the resistance. We already know what's about to happen. Let's get on with it. Let's stop with the pleasantries and the build up, and I mean, let's just get on with it. How long does it actually take to execute this plan? We've already been going on 2 episodes. By this next one, they got to hurry up and show me something, man. I'm about to just give up altogether. It's just taking too long to finally get to the final point. You drop the dude off. He should have already done his job, been on a ship on his way back or something, But this is one of these episodes where it should have all happened within 1 or 2 episodes. They're going to go on and on and on. I hope they don't drag it out another episode because that would just be ridiculous. Absolutely
Impossible, right? It should be impossible because they're already at the garrison now. There's like nothing left to do but
Yeah,
to like put the plan into
let's
place.
do
So
this.
hopefully you're right, but you know what? Now you got me worried. Now you got me worried. Damn it, Joe.
I'm just saying they just keep
Uh,
building it up and up. But you know what? I really do think though in this next episode, the Empire always has spies. That's the one thing that's kept the
ooh,
resistance at bay is that the Empire is very sneaky. They have spies everywhere, even inside the resistance. So we're
but
gonna
they don't
see.
know there's a resistance. There is
They
no
don't know.
resistance right
They
now.
don't know, but I'm certain that the Empire knows something. So they've already have people in high places, and we don't know because I'm going to tell you. I think I'm very suspectful at this point of the senators. Or not the senator. One of the lady that's funding the whole bit. Her husband knows something's up. He knows something's amiss, and
Oh,
he's known something.
Mon Mothma, yeah.
He's known something's been up for quite some time already. And I think he's just letting it play out and he's going to catch her red-handed. He's just waiting for the right time to spring the trap. And she's just playing along thinking that everything's cool, but he knows there's something going on. So he's about to spring the trap. So I think she's going to be one of the first victims to succumb here, and once she falls, everything else is going to kind of have a ripple effect.
I think that he may get suspicious and kind of do like Tim did, like call the Empire and be like, "Hey, you
Yeah.
might want to check these people out." But I don't think he knows more than what we're to assume
He suspects. He knows.
because we got word from these Imperial security officers who were talking about all the places around the galaxy that have been hit. They even name dropped Jakku, which was the place that we had found Rey back when Episode 7 started, The Force Awakens. There you go, a little trivia for you. But all these other places, all these other missions have been taking place. So why not stop them then? I think somebody may get suspicious and may cause trouble, but right now there is no resistance. There is no rebellion. There is nothing to have
I think
spies
there's
in
nothing
to
to worry
infiltrate.
about.
There's nothing to infiltrate at this point. So I think as far as that goes that we're okay.
I don't know. The Emperor is pretty smart, dude. I think he knew sooner or later something like this was going to happen. So we're going to see just how insightful he really is. So I'm just saying, man.
His confidence will blind him. Matty B, what do you think about Andor episode 5, sir?
I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if you guys have seen the show The Bear on FX.
I've heard of
Um,
it. I haven't seen it
but
yet.
but it's really really good. And one of the characters in that show is the cousin of the guy who has just inherited this restaurant, which is Manic, and that's Eben Moss Backrack, and he plays the cousin, but he also plays Skeen here in Andor. So during this episode, I drew a lot of parallels between his character in The Bear on FX and his character here um, with the crew, and he's very skeptical, untrustworthy, in your face. I'm willing to
If
take you out type
only
of
he
dude.
would curse as much as he does on the
Yeah,
bear
but
that he
didn't
would
you?
on Andor.
But Ted, you saw the parallels of the
Yeah,
character.
he's
Yeah,
a great actor. I'm actually like, dude, you're having quite a year. You're on one of the best new dramas, The
yeah,
Bear, and now
yeah,
you're in Star Wars. Like, that's a pretty
yeah.
solid year.
So I spent a lot of the time that the show was spending, which was just overhand playing the "We don't trust you" act and taking a long time to get through this stuff. I mean, it's very clear from the first few scenes of this episode that he knows more than you. Okay, so maybe just stop the tough guy act and you're not in charge of your stuff. And we have a little bit of time left before we have to march over this mountain and take all these credits from the Empire. So let's quit the act. But they kept that going for a long time here. But I was admiring Ebon's acting because I loved his character so much in The Bear. So I got through it a little bit. Kathleen Kennedy did allow Tony Gilroy to pull a TIE fighter screech through a valley. And so that was really nice. And, if they say that's not fan service, I don't know what else is, because it got me a little bit excited. When it comes to your prediction of when we're going to see when they actually make the heist, I'm willing to say it's 3 episodes from now.
Oh
That
gosh.
they'll actually make it to the bottom of this hill. They're going to face adversity on this travel. And then if it's 3-4 episodes from now, I wouldn't be surprised before they reach the bunker and steal the
I
credits.
think one of them's about to get captured. They're gonna just not be able to stay in character, and something's gonna happen. They're gonna be imprisoned, and they're gonna
Yeah.
have to try to get that guy out again. Then they're gonna
Or Cassian's going to have to break them out.
they're gonna have to break the prisoner out, and then they're gonna make their grand escape, and there you go.
And all 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah, and it's gonna take like 5 episodes for this thing to finally come to a head.
I mean, we know we have 24 of them, so they're not in a rush to do anything.
12,
Yeah, but I think it's 24
12
over
this
2
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, 24 over 2 seasons. So we got 12 this season. Right now we're on 5. I'm telling you, I feel it in my bones. The next episode, we're robbing the garrison, and
No.
then they're gonna get overconfident, and they're gonna be like, all right, cool, on to phase 2. What the hell's phase 2? We just barely got out and with our necks, stuff like that. And then they go into this other plan that probably doesn't go well, and then they have to come back season 2 and
I have a bold
really
prediction for you, and
up
it's
the
really gonna
ante.
upset you. It's gonna upset you.
It won't upset me.
This is what they're gonna wind up doing, probably, if they keep on following in suit with what they've been doing with this last 2 episodes. They're gonna drag out this whole getaway until the
It's
very, very
impossible.
end, and they're gonna
Impossible.
start focusing more on some of these other side characters and their story, and not spend as much time on what is Cassian currently doing. I predict that might unfold in the next episode. We're gonna see more of what's going on within the city versus what's going on more with Cassian. So just be prepared, Ted.
We're on episode 5. You think like 6 through 11 are going to be fillers, and then the plan goes into play on episode 12?
Or
I
what if
hope
the
not.
plan doesn't work?
That's the biggest challenge of all. If the plan doesn't work, then they're kind of their cover's blown, and then they have to just come up with a new plan altogether.
Because
They
I could see.
mentioned
Oh, it's
in
good.
this episode that there's a whole plan for this garrison. They're going to change into this massive airfield or some like big base. So unusual that they dropped that. Maybe they're about to do the plan, and then like construction starts on this new base. I could see that happening. But to say that they're going to just fill it with like something else, that's a big challenge in and of itself. If you're gonna try and
I
drag
would.
this out for like
Wouldn't it be
another 7
hilarious though
episodes.
if if it's next episode, you're right, Ted, and we get all the way up into the end, and they're right at the doors of the bunker, and then it switches the scene, and it's just is Palpatine as a hologram, and he's like, "I'm afraid the bunker will be quite operational when your friends arrive," and and then we have to wait till the next episode to see if like he knew it the whole time.
Wow. It'll be interesting. I think next episode, the plan goes, they put the plan into motion, they will succeed, but also you have all these security officers that are now trying to put these pieces together. So this is going to be probably the event that leads them to believe there is an organized resistance that are conducting these missions. That this isn't all just randomness, like some people believe, but that there's an actual enemy out there that's trying to overthrow, take over, defeat,
And we
destroy
and we were
the
leading up
empire.
into that. Remember when I forget the girl with the blonde hair. Remember when she got reprimanded for
Yes.
looking into this exactly? So I could see that story circling back around to here as well. So I think you're onto something there, Ted, for sure.
Hopefully, in 2 more days, we're going to see this plan go into motion,
I'm
and we're not
telling
having to
you,
wait anymore.
they're gonna be they're long, drawn out episodes that are gonna be taking this show and like it's never gonna end. This one episode that
Yeah.
should have just been one and done. No, they're gonna
Yeah.
drag it out, drag it out, drag it out, drag it out. But wait, there's more. There's another plot twist. Oh, we're not even at the gates yet. I'm just like, I'm done. Tell me when it's over.
Well, it can't be too easy, right? It can't be too easy. This is the Empire we're talking about. But I love the writing of this episode. No, it's not like this incredible episode, but I love the banter. I love the writing of it. You want me out of this? Make a choice. Don't use me as an excuse. That was Cassian to the group as they keep, trying to find out if there's something that he's hiding from them or that he's somehow a spy. But no, definitely not. And I feel like now they can move forward. Like, yeah, they said it before, but there wasn't really anything to kind of convince the entire team that Cassian was really working with them or that he wasn't someone that they couldn't trust. So now I feel like this is the episode that was the moment where they can get past it. He's like, look, I'll tell you the truth. I don't care about your movement. I don't care about what you're trying to accomplish. I just want to get paid, and that's it. And that's pretty believable. It's like, all right, he's here to get paid. Now we can go. Now we can move on. So I kind of like that moment they had there. Also, real quick, at the end of the episode, Luthen, he's in his shop and he's like listening for like messages or something on this like radio or receiver. And just so happens on the shelf behind him, in plain sight, right in the background, are two holocrons. One's a Jedi,
Someone's a
one's a
Sith,
Sith.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, you can't just show those and not expect people to freak out. So yeah, no, those are pretty awesome.
And
I
what
wanted to
Tony
circle back
Gilroy
to
in an
something.
article today, Tony Gilroy had an interview today, where he said, again, double down on no fan service. But his definition he redefined was of not just bringing in characters like
Yeah.
for the sake of bringing in characters. But to me, adding in these little things is fan service. I think that's still the same thing. Like,
They're
you know,
Easter
Maybe
eggs, you know?
yeah,
Well, maybe I can see a thing where he thinks fan service is throwing in elements or Easter eggs that are recognizable just for the sake of doing it, as opposed to throwing things in there that are references, but that are there for either a reason or expected to be there. If you're in this artifact buyer's store or place of business, aren't you expecting relics of some kind?
Yeah.
Some might be Sith,
Antique stealing.
some might be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you were to just see it like in Luthen's house, like in his library or in his study, it's like, oh yeah, I some friends gave me these things. They are
yeah.
holocrons of some sort. I don't know how to open them. I don't know.
But for me, it's like those and like it makes sense. He might have a suit of armor from the Clone Wars, or he might have these other things. Having a Jedi and Sith holocron is a completely different thing altogether. Like those are very sought after items. All the Jedi and any Sith who may be coming up will want these things and know kind of where to find them or whatever it might be. Sometimes it might seem as a Star Wars fan that you're just picking out props from a room and you're setting it there for a show that's not really Star Wars to make it kind of look like Star Wars.
Yeah.
A friend of yours, Matty B, says that they're for storytelling purposes and that you just hate Tony Gilroy. Come on, just come out with it.
No,
You hate Tony.
I think he's an awesome dude. I think he's a good director. I think he's making a spy thriller in a sandbox of Star Wars because Kathleen Kennedy paid him a bunch of money, and that those Jedi and Sith holocrons were there not for
Yeah.
storytelling purposes, because they pulled him out of the prop thing and said, "Hey, we need to make this look like Star Wars while I tell a different story."
And
But
one of the things I wanted to talk about too with Ted here is I wanted to circle back because he was talking about the mercenaries, going to go ahead and carry out this mission, and go ahead and ransack the money, the goods from the Empire,
yeah, the
Yeah.
credits.
the credits. So this whole ragtag group of people here, these mercenaries, they're very leery of trusting people. And Ted's like, well, the Empire doesn't know. Nothing's happened. Nothing has been sprung on them. If that's the case, why are they so leery of trusting people, especially people who are just placed into their garrison, in other words, into their group right now at such a critical juncture? They're very leery because if you're like that, it means that you've already been betrayed in the past. So maybe that's one of the reasons they're so apprehensive and wanting to know more and more and more and more about Cassian, because again, it's very suspicious that you're near the end of finally executing this plan, and all of a sudden you get this new guy that just comes in out of nowhere. You know nothing about him, and you got to understand at some point, if they're feeling like deja vu, maybe they've been betrayed before. So this isn't the first time. That's all I'm saying is they're very cautious proceeding. They wanted to proceed with caution with Cassian, and to me, you don't get like that overnight. You have to already have had experiences with betrayal or people doing nefarious things to you in the past.
Two, two things. Number one, I don't think they're mercenaries. I think Cassian's the only one getting paid, and they're a little. I think like when they heard that, they're like, "What the hell? You guys are getting paid?"
Maybe they're getting paid
Most
in
of
other
them,
ways. They're getting
well,
paid in
most of
other
them are
ways.
doing it for personal reasons. Like they actually have a reason why they're
Revenge.
all
I,
in.
I
They
get
they
that.
kept they keep using the term all in. Are you all in? Are you all in? Are you all in? I'm all in. Are you all in? And I think they keep doing that because for everybody else, there's a vendetta, there's a personal reason, there's revenge, there's something why they're doing this, some reason why the Empire wronged them, and this is their way of getting back at them. Secondly, yeah, you already mentioned it. The reason why they're so apprehensive is because this guy came in at the end of like the mission going into motion like a couple of days before. So for them, and plus, Cassian called them out. Like, you guys are just trying to find a reason why you don't want me here because you're too scared to go through this suicide mission. He called it a suicide mission from the start, and he keeps finding not flaws in this plan. Like, oh, they wouldn't march like this; they would march like this, and so he's definitely helping them. But I think that they're all just very frightened of this suicide mission, and their nerves are getting the best of them.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. I think this has happened to them before too. They've
Well,
had
also,
something happen
I
to them.
mean, they're justified a bit. So there's a scene
Yeah.
in this episode where Skeen cuts the Kyber crystal necklace off of Cassian, and he gives you an exact number for how much
Mhm.
that cost. The reason why he knows how much that cost is because right now the Death Star is being built, and this little scuttle of the rebellion doesn't exactly know what that means yet, but they know that the Empire is harvesting all of the Kyber that they can from the entire galaxy so they can build the weapon that is the Death Star. So they know the Empire is seeking this for something because they're hawking it in their towns. That's why he knows, hey, this little thing is worth $30,000. And so they see him with that and immediately think of him as being with the Empire, because how could you have that? And if you're in our position and if you're like us, why haven't you sold it yet? And so they're kind of looking at him like, in the grand scheme of where the universe is, like they have every right to kind of be a little offish with him and not trust him right
Mm.
away.
That was very telling though with Cassian, as they know that he's going to go into this, fortress basically, and try to go ahead and execute this plan. You got to ask yourself, why does he put the kyber around his neck?
I don't think he knows what it is. I think he's so blinded by whatever he's
He
doing
knows
all
what it
the time.
is, but I'm saying he knows
Yeah.
it's that value. It has value. Why would Cassian put that thing around his neck? because he knew if shit went south and he was going to survive and get out of there, he wasn't going to come back and pick that thing up. So you might as well have it on your person in case you got to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, and it might be a character play too. It might be like, I'm not in this for the money. Like the value to him because of who gave it to him may be more sentimental than he may not look at as like a physical item like they are.
Yeah, I think he knew what's up. And with looking at all the things that were going wrong with their plan, it's like
He
yeah,
doesn't seem too aloof most of the time. He seems like he
yeah.
kind of knows what's going on.
He knows what's going on. He's just leery of these guys too. They're leery of him, and he is of them because he's finding out just how inexperienced they really are as far as having the right intel to really execute this plan and for it to be a success. At this point, he's the ringer. They didn't even know how to start that little carrier, that troop carrier, and with the added weight, they didn't know what to do and how does it levitate? How does it get off the ground? He's like, you all were going to get in this ship. You have no idea how to compensate for the weight, how to hit that clutch and all this stuff to get it even started. And you all are going to die. Basically, he was just telling them what would have happened. Well, we would have figured it out eventually. He's like, yeah, you all would have been dead. So.
Do you know what my favorite part of Monday nights is? So
Uh-oh.
this is just for the everybody out there. Every Monday morning, we have a little group chat going, kind of what we're going to talk about for the day, and usually it's either me or Joe bitching about ways that we could make the show shorter. And now it's been 52 minutes, and me and Joe have just been sitting here talking the entire time, and we're like,
Andor.
Cheers, everybody.
it's just hilarious. It's just.
I'm
It's hard
telling
to
you,
believe.
man, we need to be able to talk about these shows after the shows have already occurred, like immediately after.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just have to call this out while we're talking about Andor. This is one of my favorite beer glasses ever. This is by No Label Brewing. Shout out. This came with a beer called Hop Solo. Great name. And on the glass is a outline of Vader that says, "Oh, you were the chosen one." One of my absolute favorite glasses. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to throw out there also that they talked about the Kyber crystal being worth about 30,000 credits. I think, and if David Lozano is still in the chat, he could probably help me out with this. I think not a brand new, I think the Millennium Falcon as is, used, beat up, sort of all that. I think one time it was mentioned that somebody offered either Solo or somebody 16,000 credits for it. So at 30,000 for that Kyber crystal, you could buy almost 2 Millennium Falcons in the shape that it's in. So a little bit of piece of information for you there. Sorry, I just want to throw that out there.
No, thanks a lot, Ted. That's awesome.
I'm excited. Next episode, the plan goes into motion. They're probably going to succeed, but barely escape with their lives. I think probably not everybody makes it out. Ooh, they probably capture one of them and start torching the hell out of them, and that's going to lead them to more missions being discovered, more people getting in on this. It's all going to unravel from there. So yeah, looking forward to it. Anything else?
No, we can move. I don't want to talk about rings. I'm gonna join.
No. You guys go for Rangz first. I'm gonna take a short break. I'm gonna let my dog out. I'm going to
Take a
use
nap.
the restroom. Yeah.
Awesome. That was our talk on Andor, episode 5. We want to hear from you guys. What was your biggest takeaways from episode 5? Are you of the mindset that episode 6 is when we see the plan go into play? Or are they going to somehow drag this out and we're going to have to wait even longer? Kind of like how we did for Daredevil showing up in She-Hulk. Let us know in the comments below. And Rick says, hey, nice Vader glass, by the way. I appreciate that, Rick. I appreciate that a lot. All right. We are now moving from Andor to Rings of Power. All right. Maddie will catch you in a bit, sir.
Now I'm gonna join Maddie too.
Oh, God.
It's Miller time.
It's Miller time.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Rings of Power, episode 7. It's up to you, Joe. I totally up to you.
No, man, I have to do it
All right.
reluctantly. I don't want to. But
Way to go. Way to be a team player, man. Way to be a team player. For anybody who's still watching Rings of Power, I hope you are. We were so excited last week, the week before, when episode 6 dropped and how that turned out. That was a great episode. Episode 7 kind of had to just show us the aftermath of episode 6. But here is your summary. It goes a little something like this. Rangz, episode 7, The Eye, which we didn't even get. Galadriel, the Southerners, and Numenor soldiers seek survivors after the eruption of Mount Doom. Queen Midiel loses her sight in the process, but declares to return with the full strength of Numenor to the Southlands. Elrond fails one last time to convince the Dwarf King to let the elves obtain Mithril, while Prince Durin's actions put him at even greater odds with his father. The Harfoots come into contact with the evil-looking coven, who sets their carts ablaze, but do not locate the stranger. Halbrand and Galadriel ride to see the Elf King, while Adar gives birth to Mordor. And lastly, towards the end of the episode, we actually find that a Balrog guards the Mithril caves, foreshadowing doom for the dwarves. You gotta have liked that part at least.
Yeah, that was dope. But I mean, the whole episode was just boring as hell, man. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
I hear you, and like I mentioned, I think this one we just have to see the aftermath. It would be too much for them to like pick up themselves and be like, "All right, let's try this again." No, they have to lick their wounds. They have to, walk away with their tail between the legs and just live to fight another day. They got their butts handed to them. Everything looked good, but they failed the mission. They won the battle, they lost the war, or at least the first war, which has now given birth to Mordor. And it was pretty cool that they name dropped it at the end of the episode. That was kind of cool. But it's also what we kind of did at the end of the last episode, like, "Oh, this is Mordor," and they took an entire episode to kind of just tell us what we already knew. They probably should have started with that. That would have been kind of cool instead of waiting till the end. Um, but either way, I think that it was a way for them to kind of just show us that they have to show us the aftermath of this. Not everybody kind of survived. Not everybody got out of this okay. Clearly, the Queen Regent, is suffering some long-term consequences from this battle. But
Yeah, she
you
got
know,
ash. She got those really hot coals in her eyes when they were trying to save Isildur from the burning hut. You
yeah,
know, um, and all those that ash or that embers got in her eyes, and of course they're gonna have they did some long term damage to her. And she can't see; she just sees gray. Like smoke, and she didn't even know where she was at on that horse. That's why she wanted to get on the horse so bad, because she really couldn't see. She was really just traveling blind, you know? No.
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, poor her. But I think we found out a little bit more about who these strangers are that are looking for the actual stranger.
Ooh, do
This
tell.
trio here, uh, again, they are nefarious. They're actually looking for the stranger. They're
Yep.
right on his tail. And again, we see the stranger being called upon to help the Harfoots because they get to their valley of bounty, where they're supposed to be, you know, apples in the trees and a bountiful feast waiting for them. And they go to it, and what do they see? Nothing but ruin,
Death.
because of because of Mount Doom. It's erupted and it's burned a lot of stuff. A lot of things are either burning or have burnt, because of the eruption of the volcano. So they're looking to the stranger to kind of, get him out of another pinch. Hey, we need you. You're the ringer. So they go ahead and kind of egg him on and tell him to see if he can, work his magic and bring this little valley here to life. And he tries his hardest, and in the process he almost kills Nori and one of the other Harfoots because a big old tree limb falls off the tree and breaks and almost lands directly on the child, except for Nori coming to her aid and kind of pushing her out of the way and taking the brunt of the tree branch falling on her. Um, Again, it looks like nothing came out of what the stranger did. But lo and behold, once they tell him to, okay, you don't got to go, but you can't stay here. They
Yeah.
give him an apple and kindly send him on his way and tell him, hey, this is where the other people that are your size, the other men live. You can go on and find your way over there. They wake up in the morning and Nori wakes up to a big surprise. It's this little valley is now, it has bounty again. There's a lot of food for the Harfoots. They're all feasting. Everybody's happy, but it soon comes to a bitter end here as everybody's ready to go to bed, and they're all kind of like, shut in for the night. And what do they happen to see? These three strangers, the stranger hunters. Let's put them like that. They're kind of elvish looking, and they're about to go and follow the stranger. And Nori's like, no, he went this way, and then she's like, looks again, and they're gone, and they show up right behind her. And one of the other, her dad's like, oh, he kind of seen like these aren't good people. So
Yeah.
he gets that tree branch that's already aflame, and he's gonna burn them. And one of these the trio of travelers here grabs it and actually winds up burning the whole damn thing to the ground. Ted, you know, all their little wagons and whatnot. He burns it all to the ground. Just leaves them there homeless, basically. So now the Harfoots are up it again, and now what do they got to do? They got to go and find the stranger again to bail them out. At this point, man, just leave the dude alone, man. You only want him when you need something, you know.
Yeah.
And the Harfoots just keep on finding themselves in more precarious and precarious situations, So interesting to see how the dynamic of Nori almost shadows what's to come in the actual Lord of the Rings with Bilbo, kind of wanting to leave the Shire, see what else is out there, and Nori had that shared that same sentiment as well, wanting to know what else lies beyond her normal mundane life, and she's about to find out as now what they set out on adventure, much like Bilbo does. So it's kind of, to me, kind of fun to see how that kind of mirrors what she's doing, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I had a weird question. We never really find out what happens to Isildur, right?
Yeah, we don't really get to find out what happened to him. We do know that it appears that he perished. They even told his father, "Oh, your son is dead." Basically the roof caved in on him, and he kind of met his demise in a hut. But as we find out, he's very much alive later on.
Uh, Legacy Nerd is actually getting too excited about what you just mentioned. He says, "Whoa, they took out the Harfoots. I need to catch up. This may be the actual best episode." Not exactly how he mentioned it, but
They took out their shanty town. Let's put it like that. They didn't like this burn them all up. They burn out their little carts. Their means of transportation.
yeah. So sorry to disappoint you, but it's not exactly what Joe mentioned. It's just that they destroyed all their belongings and possessions. Rick, if you're still in the chat, Rick, I apologize. I clicked the wrong button. It might have like kicked you out for a second, but you should be able to get back in. Yeah, I wonder why they've hidden Isildur and if it has anything to do with the episodes going forward. They didn't show us a body, right? So he should still be alive because they didn't show us a body, right? They showed no body. I'm pretty sure. Tell me I'm right, Joe, unless I missed it.
No, they didn't show a body. I mean, they just kind of showed him and kind of putting his hand up, and you just see the whole roof collapse, and that was about it.
Legacy Nerd says, did Isildur shave his head and run away with his boyfriend?
No, you talking
Uh,
about D.
yes, exactly. That's exactly what happened. I wonder if this is a weird subplot. I can't imagine it's gonna lead to Hallbrand sort of becoming Isildur. Hallbrand looks more like Isildur in the Lord of the Rings flashbacks than Isildur in this series looks like the flashbacks that we saw. I'm trying to figure out if that means something, if there's something there, if there's a subplot that they're
Telling you,
planting
we already know
in the
who
show.
Halbrand is. We already know this, Teddy. We
I I
know this.
I get it, but there's also a small chance, right, that it doesn't pan out.
There's a
Small
small chance,
chance.
but I'm just saying the dude is following along the same lines of Sauron. He wanted to get back to Numenor. He's got his chance. He's faking an injury. He's beyond the help of regular men. Now he needs elfish medicine. He's gonna be alone again with Galdriel, and now they're getting on the ship to go back to Numenor or whatever. I mean, and you got to ask yourself at some point. I saw something in this Facebook group that I'm a part of, Lord of the Rings Facebook group, and these guys had me cracking up, man. You have these Numerian ships, and you're gonna tell me that these little ships were able to carry the whole garrison of troops with armor, with food, and all these horses on those little ships. And they were showing the ships and what they look like on the bottom of the ship. And it's like the Titanic going on down there underwater, man. It's freaking hilarious. But I'm just saying, they're all going back, and that's basically what Sauron wants. Go back to Numenor so he can go ahead and start learning even more information, start getting somebody to sucker them into making the rings. We know he's gonna dupe an elf, to go ahead and start making these rings for him and whatnot. I mean, it's going to happen later on, but you already know the plot has been set, and the character is following along the lines of Sauron. So it's all been set up. It's premeditated, Ted.
I got you. I got you. We'll see what happens. We got let's see, that was episode 7, so 2 more episodes, right? I think they have 9 episodes this season. So 2 more episodes to really stick the landing and show us the potential, right? Episode 6 was kind of a big turning point. I kind of thought that's how the season would end. It seemed like the right way to end the season, but they got 3 more episodes, and we just saw one of them. So 2 more episodes now to show us why they're extending this to begin with. Why
Yeah.
put 2 more episodes after the birth of Mordor? It would have been just great. Very last episode, the
Leave it at that.
volcano erupting, and then your heroes lose. They lose the battle. They lose the war. Like, they failed in their mission, and we'll see what goes on from there. But
And one of the little side notes, though, that I did learn and reading more about the Rings of Power is Netflix always also made a bid to the Tolkien family, to go ahead and buy the rights to
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, and they pitched them a series, 2 series actually. One of them would have followed Gandalf, the other would have followed the Ranger. What was his name? I forgot his name from the Lord of the Rings.
Aragorn.
Aragorn. It would have followed him, and the Tolkien family just didn't like the plot of either series and the storyline as far as what they wanted to proceed with. So Amazon came in and really talked with them, and at the end of the day, they liked where they were going to go, where it wasn't going to be a rehash of the actual Lord of the Rings trilogy. They don't want to touch that because they liked the way it was directed by Peter Jackson, and they wanted to kind of have this telling of the story come out, as a series, and Amazon really they really promised that they would have them be a part of the creative process. So lo and behold, now we're here with the series, The Rings of Power, and the Tolkien family were really happy with the overall storyline of what was going to happen with Rings of Power. So they gave it the green light, and they said it was really faithful to, the story of J.R. Tolkien himself. So I understand it's a slow burn, but the Tolkien family gave it its blessing. So I mean, even though if the series might not have the ratings as Hot D, Maddie's other favorite and my favorite too, it's still admirable. It's performing admirably, and I think that there's a big audience for it. So regardless of how it ends or what occurs in this last episode here, I think it's been okay. It hasn't wowed me, where I'm like, oh man, it's just like House of the Dragon, but it's been an okay ride for me. It hasn't been a disappointment. Let's put it like that.
I got you. I got you. And hopefully they can, like I said, stick the landing, really wow us with these last 2 episodes,
Yeah,
and
hopefully.
show us what's the point. What's the point of this? I guess the point is to show us who the stranger is. That's sort of the only mystery that we're asking ourselves
Or
is
maybe they don't even
who.
have to reveal that. Maybe we can just keep on feeding you crumbs until next season, you know?
Could be, could be.
Yeah.
Also, we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you thought about episode 7 of Rings of Power, and how does this end? How do you think season 1 will end? We want to hear from you guys. Drop your theories in the chat, or you can always email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekcast.com. We have one more show to talk about, but real quick, I'm trying to make sure that there you go. Real quick, Rick, if you're still in the chat, give us a shout out. I want to make sure that you're back in the chat because I accidentally hit the wrong button that like booted you out.
You
Why do they
blocked them,
put why do they put the reply buttons and the boot button right next to each other? I wanted to reply and instead it booted him out.
man.
So
You kicked
hopefully,
him out.
Rick,
You got to make it up to him, man.
you're back. But
Maybe we can
Maddie
send him a
wants to.
Countdown City Geekcast shirt to kind of compensate him for the bootleg jersey.
Ooh, there you go. Now we're talking. Speaking of which, Maddie B has dropped the Redbubble Geek Shop in the chat. Go ahead and take a gander at it. I'll make sure I favorite it. It's pinned to the top there. Check it out after the show. Great styles of T-shirts and working on some other items that are going to go in there pretty
Yeah,
soon.
Maddie's
Some
been gonna be
merch,
working on some hats coming out here soon.
hats later on this week. WrestleCast items will be added to the store, so be excited for that. The WrestleCast, which drops on Thursdays, yeah, and more Ghost Head Radio items as well. So lots to look forward to.
Absolutely.
We got one more show to talk about, and it's everybody's favorite, of course. Yes, the House of the Dragon,
Hot
episode
D.
8, Hot D, and you know how we do. We start with the summary, and it goes a little something like this: Hot D, episode 8, The Lord of the Tides. Let's do the time jump again. All right, fast forward another 5 or 6 years, maybe. Damon receives 3 new dragon eggs, as well as 2 new kids with Rhaenyra. And I also think she's pregnant again,
Yep.
so maybe a third is on the way. There you go. Allison chooses plan A over plan B with her son Aegon's recent escapade with the castle help. Did you get what I did there? Do you see what I did? All right. I'll explain later. Lord Corliss's health hangs by a thread, and a successor for Driftwood must be determined. Rhaenyra gets her way, and had Vaemond kept a cooler head, he also might have kept his. See what I did there? You see what I did? I'll explain later. The king also gets one final civil supper with his family before confusing Alicent with Rhaenyra and revealing the Song of Ice and Fire prophecy just before he takes his final breath. Matt, this is the show you love to talk about every week, so we're going to start with you. Episode 8, your biggest takeaways.
Well, first of all, this segment is brought to you by Fireball Whiskey. Dracarys.
Well done, sir. Well done.
But yes, I thought this episode was fantastic. The king in this episode was fantastic, beginning to end. The actor who plays him, I forget his name currently, but the king was the most kingly I have seen him the entire series. He came in and stepped in and walked down the hall. He said, no poppy milk for me this time. And Damon and Rhaenyra know something's up. Obviously, the High Towers are keeping him drugged and slowed down so they can drag this out as long as possible while they're really running things and setting into the the psyche that we're the ones actually in power. Alicent has already put up religious symbols. Maybe she's doing some penance for her acts or trying to make it up to the kingdom for what she did, and obviously, cutting the heir to the throne, the Princess
Right.
Rhaenyra. And she has a symbolism everywhere, and they take away the proper introductions for Daemon and Rhaenyra when they show up. I mean, what did you guys think? This episode, he was the best, like making this feel like a kingdom and doing normal like kingdom type things. This was the best episode for that so far.
Yeah, and it was Alicent and her father Otto are just hashtag Team Petty. You
Yeah,
know,
Yeah.
for sure.
to the umpteenth degree, even more so than Damon. You know, which he plays the game to perfection. You know, and even him, he's just taken aback and just giggling at all the nonsense that's going on in front of him. You know,
His dialogue in this was interesting. There was
yeah,
many times where Matt Smith would just step back and say, "Hmm,
yeah, he's
hmm,
laughing. He even called Allison out when she went to finally greet them, you know, in their room, and he's just sitting down like,
yeah,
this is bullshit. Basically, he's just with that stance like, you all are
yeah,
gonna feed this BS to us, really? You
yeah."
know?
But he would literally just to
Yeah,
certain statements throughout the
he
episode. I
laughed.
felt,
He
yeah,
laughed at certain things they would say.
he thought that it was like he's like, dude, you guys are bullshitting. You're feeding my brother this milk and you're the poppy milk to make him feel better, and you're
Oh, he
keeping him
smelled it.
drugged so you can keep him alive.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's so skeptical because he believes in his brother. He believes in the name of the throne. He wants Rhaenyra to take the to take the crown because he has his own ambition anyways. And that's what built up so much that moment when Viserys is climbing to the Iron Throne and Daemon grabs him and says he refused help from everybody else, but he looked up and saw Daemon and said, "Okay, you're allowed to help me up to the top." And then Damon puts the crown back onto his head. What a moment of symbolism there! And it was a very powerful scene.
Yeah, because
So,
even though Damon and Viserys, have had their odds, Damon still recognizes that that's his king, that's his
oh,
brother, that's his
100%,
blood,
he
and
loves
that's
her.
he loves his brother exactly, and he, helping his brother up. I mean, I think seeing the king in this current state, it really took him aback because he remembers his brother on better days, you know, before his health issues, and they have a lot
And
of memories.
he knows
Yeah.
this is his last moments with him.
Yeah, he does. He didn't want him to just be embarrassed by not being able to climb up those stairs.
And
You
it's
know,
self-serving too because it's
yeah,
my name, motherfucker. You're
yeah.
I'm going to walk you up
Put
these
some
stairs.
respect on my name.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put the crown on your head, and you
Yeah.
stand up for our blood and our family. And it honestly, it almost made me cry in
No,
that.
it was a very moving moment because the one thing
Absolutely.
is, Rhaenyra, when she went to go and have the conversation with Viserys the night before this stupidity
Yeah.
took place,
Yes.
she was telling her father because she feels totally alone. Like she's going in this all by herself, just trying to stand up for her children, and for what is owed to them, you know. And she's telling her dad at this point, even though he's in the current state that he's in, and she doesn't know if he's there, is he really listening
Help
to me?
me.
Help me,
Help
stand
me.
up for me, be there for me. And what happens is she's there, again, they call her, go ahead and talk on behalf of your son. And as she starts to go into her speech, that's when the doors open and the king is there walking without any help. He's with
Yeah.
this cane. I mean, he's having a rough go. But I think that scene right there was very telling because regardless of the current condition that he's in as far as his health, the one thing that keeps pushing him forward is the love of his daughter. That's his only child, and he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that he stands up for her. And even she was emotional when she saw him, and Alicent and everybody else was like, "Oh shit, he's here."
Yeah.
They
And
really
it's
expect
the
that.
last time he walked.
He walked, yeah,
That's
yeah,
the last time he ever walked. In the next few scenes that we see him in, he's being carried in
yeah,
on a throne, and then he passes away at the end. And
yeah.
so that's the last time he ever walked. The last steps this man ever took in
For his
pain,
daughter.
didn't take his pain meds all day, was to protect his daughter. And then that leads us into that scene. I mean, obviously, Damon gives the guy the "fuck around and find out" line,
Say it. That's
but
what he told him. Say it.
he says, "Say it." And obviously we go through that, and that was clearly going to happen. You can't just walk in there and say bastards and whore and
Yeah.
expect to walk out of there alive. He knew the risk he was taking. He just thought he would take some honor in that. Maybe that would be written in the history books. That's what 3/4 of the people in the show care about. But it's interesting to think about where we're going to go next, and I know Joe knows
I
because he
know.
read the books.
I know
But
where we're going.
it's so interesting that the king on his last dying breath in the first scene when Rhaenyra sneaks into the king's room. See if I'm crazy here. Rhaenyra sneaks into the king's room late at night, and he mistakes her for Alicent. And and she's giving him this request, this big request that led him on that walk. Later on his deathbed, the literal last few breaths he's going to take, Alicent walks in the room. I think it's very possible he mistaked her for Rhaenyra that time and was talking about the story of Fire and Ice in a way that was meant for Rhaenyra's ears, not Alicent's. And Alicent's going to take that message and say, oh, that means Aegon is supposed to be the
The prince
prince.
that was promised.
But
Yeah.
it's just an old man on his dying words who would say, he's telling the story of Aegon the Conqueror. So like these things can get very mixed up. So that's what Alicent is going to use to make her petition towards Aegon should take the throne, and that's what's going to piss Rhaenyra off. Am I on the right path here, Joe?
There's a lot of other things that are going to go on, but you're getting there, you know. But the books, I've already read them, and this is just the start. I mean, one of the things that is going to be horrid is going to be what befalls the daughter of Viserys and Alicent, and probably season 2. She's going to suffer the most. Let's put it like that. You think that some of this stuff that you've seen on Game of Thrones was brutal. You ain't seen nothing yet, dude. Trust me.
Who is she married to now?
The prince, her brother.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
And there was an incident here. Let's get to that. The incident occurs because there's a serving girl. I forget her name. Darcy, I think it was, or I don't know, something like that.
And Aegon does
Deanna.
very terrible things we can't talk about live.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about that, but
Yeah.
he takes advantage of this poor girl. And the thing that I wanted to get at is she's so scared, you know, just the fear in her voice. And then they're like, they even tell the princess, you know, Alicent, or the Queen Alicent, should I say, there's a delicate situation that's happened, you know, and they have to take her away. And this is not her first rodeo. She's like, again, kind of with this look, like, what did my son do this time? And they lead her into the room and they tell her what he done this time. And she has to listen to this poor girl explain what was happening and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, she felt bad for her, you know, no doubt, you know, I mean, you could tell, I mean, she just feels horrible for what happened. And, you know, the girl.
Did you feel in the moment that she might kill her?
Yeah, exactly. And
I did.
I thought that she was just going to kill her, to be honest.
Yeah, I did too. And I think that's what the servant girl, you know, what was her name?
It's Darcy. It was Darcy, I think.
Deanna, what was it?
I think it's Darcy.
No, one of those. Either
we'll
way,
look it up. Start with a D.
We'll look it up. But either way, I thought she was so scared too, because she felt that she could be offed at any moment because of what she knew, what happened to her, you know, and the secret of it getting out, and it could ruin not only, you know, their name, but the prince's name and the wife's name, and all hell would break loose, you know. And thank God that Alicent at least had some compassion. It played to her humanity here, in a sense where she was actually, Diana, she actually let her live, given her a sack of gold, and says, here is something for your troubles, you know,
with the plan T. She hit her with the plan T, and
moon tea. It's called the moon tea.
It's plan T. Yeah. And she was given that, and then I thought that she would just be, because she was clearly saying, you know, I'm sorry this happened to you, but you're not carrying that bloodline with you, because he has a particular bloodline that's very valuable. So she was giving her this money, but also saying, you can't have a baby if that happens.
Yeah, that's why they can't do that. The morning after pills, basically.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Let me get caught up in the chat here, and then I'm actually gonna offer a rebuttal here. Legacy Nerd says, my favorite part is when Daemon was smiling and telling the Valyrian Drift brother, say it, talking about Vaemond, who lost his head.
With Targaryen steel.
He says, loved it. And then he also says, I forgot that being a bastard was shameful in Game of Thrones. Yeah, them's fighting woods. You can't ever drop that. And I'm actually going to offer a different theory that Allison actually did kill her. And I know it's not heavily implied that it happened, but they can't find her afterwards. And maybe it's because she just took this Plan B, Plan T drink. But I think that's actually supposed to tell us, the viewer, that no, 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 she's gone. Here's money for your troubles. It's a huge bag of what I assume is gold that you're never going to be able to use because this next drink is going to eliminate you from being an issue in the future at any point in time.
And
So
what backs
yeah,
up your theory too, Ted, is the fact that Allison said to her, what was her name again? Deanna.
Diana.
and
So she says, "I will never tell a soul," and Allison says to her, "I know you won't."
yeah, I know.
That's the moment that we kind of knew that it might be heading in that direction. But the fact that we didn't see it in his Game of Thrones, and that would have been a super brutal moment for the character of Alicent, and maybe set us up for the future, which
I
it would. But if you're gonna do it, why do it in secret? Like, I don't
I
know.
think you're missing the point here, though. I think the whole thing is she's missing because the money that Allison gave her was for her. She's implying
To
for
get out
her
of
to
here.
go away. That's why
Yeah.
she gave her such a substantial amount of money because she goes, I know you won't. In other words, get the F out of here. Here's the money. Go
GTFO.
disappear. Yeah, go and disappear. Have a good life. I'll see you. And
Yeah.
on your way out, here's the tea. Now bounce. Get out of here, kid.
Here's the T. Bounce.
Yep.
All
Out.
right. I hear you.
We're just gonna act like you never even worked here. Who's that girl?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Basically what they're gonna do.
Do you even go here?
Yeah, they're gonna ghost they're gonna ghost this poor girl, And I think she couldn't get out of there any quicker anyway. She wanted to get the heck out of Dodge, dude.
Yeah.
I strongly think that she murdered that girl.
No.
And I also think it's to help us understand that over these years she was extremely remorseful when Sir What's His Face, Rhaenyra's baby daddy, was murdered in the fire. She was like, no, 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 I didn't mean that. And now her character, all these years later, 5 or 6 years later, now she's willing to do what's sort of absolutely necessary for the good of the family, for the good of the kingdom. Like, she's now willing to get her own hands dirty. I think it's a way to show us that her character has sort of drastically changed over the last 5 or 6 years.
You're
That's
gonna see
why I'm willing to believe it. If we see Diana in the future, totally fine. But I think the other help coming in saying she's missing is because she was supposed to go missing. That's what happened.
No, she paid her to leave. That's basically exactly what happened. She paid her to get the heck out of there. I know you're not gonna talk because you ain't gonna be
Yeah.
here.
But
And if you
also,
do, they know where she's at and they're gonna kill her.
so Deanna is not going to be a crucial piece moving forward.
Yeah,
But
she's
what I was really interested in that could move forward, I'm talking about two second sons, two dudes who look hella Targaryen, and that is young Aemond and Daemon having a little bit of a skirmish there at the end. There was a bit of a face off after the pig was brought.
no,
to
they were
Aemond.
laughing.
Oh, well, was it a joke though? So who sent the joke though? Was it Aemon who said, "I'm going to eat this pig that you sent to me," or was it the cousins who sent the pig to mess with them?
I don't think it was an intentional joke. I think it was
Yeah.
just the pig was put in front of him and it kind of just made his cousin smirk. It was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that joke."
The nephew.
But it was directed though. The smirk was directed.
Yeah. The smirk was directed, but the pig was not. I think the pig was just brought in with the food, and they just happened to put it in right in front of them, and
So then Aemon says, "Strong boys."
boys.
Clearly, and strong is important too because wasn't that the nickname of their father Harwin, or
Yeah.
was that his name? And so he says strong boys, like implying the fact that he knew that they were bastard children. And so that was like a direct hit to them there. And he kind of sets that dinner on fire. And then at the end, Damon has to kind of come around, but the other second in line, right? The other second brother, they look very similar to each other. They kind of have very similar attitudes. And that little face off they had there at the end, I thought was really interesting. It might lead into how they have to battle moving forward, knowing that, you know,
I
there's
think
somebody
it
over
really
there.
shows the I guess how far along Rhaenyra's children are as far as their battle skills compared to Viserys' sons. The dynamic there, where these kids, they want to fight back, and they want to go up against a foe who is stronger and wiser than them at this point, you know. And I think one of the things that's being set up is there's other ways to defeat your foe besides brute strength, and that's what season 2 is going to be about. It's going to be some real Game of Thrones shit that's going to be going on there. But I think the thing is that they keep on just antagonizing Rhaenyra's kids because they know they're bastard kids, for one, and they feel it too. But more importantly, they're just kind of showing them that you're really not a threat to me, son. That's why we call you nephew. Are you here to train, nephew? Hold my beer. Let me show you what a real man does. You know, and it's just showing them right now basically where they're at in their plight. And they're really they're going out of their way right now, the show and the writers and all that, to show you kind of how powerless they are right now.
But he just got a throne. He
Yeah.
just got and so actually your second brother really, maybe after Damon goes, you'll get whatever castle that he
Yeah.
is able to
Well,
get.
Aegon
But
got
at
a
the same time,
dragon, and the nephew got a kingdom.
There you go.
So yeah, I mean, I get the whole thing, but I'm just saying at this point, it's just showing you, how inexperienced they are when it comes to hand-to-hand combat.
was it also cool to you when Damon at the beginning found 3 dragon eggs?
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
really extremely cool because it shows
That's
you the great care that they take in harvesting these eggs,
yeah.
and the precarious situation that Damon finds himself. He had to like rappel down this crevasse, with what, a freaking rope, dude. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And then cut the womb open to pull it out.
Pull the eggs out. Yeah, dude. That was pretty badass to see how they harvest the eggs and immediately, hey, go put them in the warmer,
But
'cause
also that shows their plan, right? Because
yeah.
they're harvesting dragons. The king currently on King's Landing, it doesn't have his mind on Targaryen things, and so they're harvesting dragons over here on this side.
Yeah, I think
What are
it's
you
gonna
guys doing over there?
I think what it's showing too is that they're trying to build a stash of dragons, because
Mhm.
I mean, we are coming up on Dance of the Dragon, the battle, the
Oh,
epic
yeah.
battles.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're gonna need every single dragon they can get. And I think not only that, but Rhaenyra now appearing to be with child. I think it's Damon actually looking to, get these dragons, dragon eggs, or the dragons that are inside of them are gonna be for his children.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's thinking ahead of time, and it's good to see that dynamic with Damon. Even that his wife passed on, he still cares and takes care of these children. His stepchildren and his blood. Even Rhaenyra's sons. They have a family dynamic there. Where Damon is actually the stepdad for all intents and purposes now.
But Matt Smith is acting the hell out of this role. Matt Smith is dominating this role. He really is. He's getting the humor. He's getting the intensity. He's getting the battle. He's getting the lover when he needs to be. He is entrenched into this role. And I think he's the most impressive to me by far. And we've had some recasting, so maybe it's not a fair competition.
No.
But he's been consistent with us the whole way through. And although the King stole this episode for me, acting wise, Damon is the overall favorite for me as far as writing and diversity of character goes.
Great actor.
I only have one question. Toward the end of the episode, there was a woman in a hood or a cloak that
That was
came
Damon's
out of the
old
castle.
mate.
His whore.
Yeah, and
No,
she
no.
might have.
But what is she
maybe
doing
event.
though? Because she ran into somebody else she knew, and she was like, "I heard the events at the castle
Oh,
were."
that's the lady, the girl, the spy that's feeding her information from what's going
Yeah.
on inside the castle.
Yeah.
That was
Gotcha.
the girl, the one of the servant girls that knows what happened with Diana, you know. So that's when she's coming over to give her the juice of what just went
So,
down, you
so
know.
the first lady in the hood is Damon's old
Right.
booty call, right?
Yeah.
And so it's clear that she's developed it because she was kind of a brothel runner, if you remember in the first few episodes. So she's developed one of these girls to come out of that life and to become a spy for her. That's what I took from it. And then she was reporting back to what was going on
In the castle.
in the castle. But also, I think there's rumors of, I'm not sure of, so it's not a spoiler. It's just something I heard, was that she's hiding a child that she was actually impregnated with Damon. I think that,
Ooh,
and she's going to potentially try to use that against him.
Yeah,
interesting.
you see something in the end, the credits there. You're not the credit, but the trailer for the next
Next
episode.
episode, yes.
Yeah.
And
So
there's a cage with a, there's a baby in there with
a
blonde hair. That's all I'm
conspicuous looking
saying.
child, let's put it, with
Yeah.
that the Tigerian colored hair.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't wait. Joe, I hate that you know already,
Yeah.
but I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, it's
I
going to be really interesting. Is when the end of season 1 is going to no doubt lead off on a cliffhanger, but getting into season 2 and all that, that's when you all are going to see some real
Are we
stuff
going to get
kick a little
blacks and
heavy.
greens here, or does that come later?
I think that's going to come later. They've already set up most of that for you already, as you can see. Even in the King,
From the
Viserys.
costumes.
Yeah, even Viserys, he's all in black and red. And Alicent is in green with her green.
And
followers,
Rhaenys was in black when she took Rhaenyra's side.
right? Yep,
She was wearing a black gown.
it's all
And
foreshadowing.
can I give one only criticism of Hot D? It's my favorite show.
Watch out.
All the names are way too close. Aemon, Aegon,
Aegon.
Rhaenys, Rhaenyra. I mean, it's like there's all of these names sound exactly
Rhaenyra,
the same.
Rhaenyra,
Aemond, Vaemond.
Yeah.
Even Rhaenyra's son, she named him Viserys.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, come on. Like I need to be able to differentiate between these characters. When you come back after
That's
watching all the
George.
TV that we watch, it's like
That's
I'm trying to remember names here.
Yeah,
that's
you're gonna
George. He
know.
had to follow suit.
Yeah, things are gonna start getting real when you start getting introduced to something to characters called blood and cheese. Let's just
Ooh.
put it like that. That's when the real stuff is gonna go down.
I'm excited for the next episode because up until now, like Rhaenyra and just her family, they sort of had it too easy, if you ask me. Like they haven't had really any major obstacles to overcome. But now there is somebody in their way, and that is Alicent and the High Tower family, who now think the king's wishes are for their family to sort of make the decisions on who's going to sit on the throne. So yeah, this is going to be probably the first major challenge to Rhaenyra and her family on that throne. So it's exciting. It's exciting that now there's a sort of a big plot that's unfolding here. So I'm excited mostly about that because up until now, like I mentioned, they've had it pretty easy. They've had their kids. Anybody who questions them gets killed. All of these new characters every episode. Oh, new character? You're not gonna make it till the end. Case in point, Vaemon. New character gets introduced, off with his head. So yeah.
No, they
Uh,
let him keep his tongue. They just removed him of his feeble head, of his
Yeah.
feeble mind.
And it's
There you
also
go.
it's fire and ice. It's just the same way. It's it's a kind of a Mary Sue. It's like, hey, the fire and ice and legend, and I think they're setting it up like that's supposed to be up until this point kind of her path, the chosen one. Like things kind of go easy for the chosen one sometimes when you're made to be the heir and all that. And she's going to probably have a rude awakening at some point soon. But they're kind of building the story in the way of the fire and ice and what she had with her father, and she's the heir to the throne, and she's the chosen one.
Did you catch that little standoff between Aegon and Damon? That was pretty cool because you could see it
oh
in that
yeah.
whole scene where he's like, "Say it."
But it was oh yeah, and it was intense. He said
Yeah.
say it, and he wanted him to do, and
You saw
then
everybody though. That scene was shot beautifully, Maddie, because you see
Yeah.
everybody kind of perk up and they're getting in
Yeah.
close. You're like, oh,
And
Aegon's
also,
eyes light up, you
you
know?
see the sides. They're
Yeah.
already drawing lines. In
Yeah.
that scene alone, when you look at the middle of the aisle, you can see the sides, and they're already lining up, but they're just keeping up the decorum because that's what people did back then.
Yeah. But
Um,
it was cool when Damon chopped off that dude's head, and then Aegon's like, yes, you know?
but you knew when he said "say it," that's where he was going.
Yeah, he is
Damon
where
is
he's been
not
going.
to be messed with in any way, shape, or form,
No.
No.
and
Like he's the epitome of fuck around and find out.
no, he is fuck around and find out, and Rhaenyra is too.
Oh
I
yeah.
think those two are. If we were to do like a bet in Vegas right now, if we were to go Allison Hightower versus Otto Hightower and Rhaenyra and Damon, I would take Rhaenyra and Damon all
Put it like
day.
this,
It wouldn't even
Maddie.
be
Let's put it
close.
like this. There's a saying: the fire that burns the hottest is always the quickest to get snuffed
Yeah,
out.
Ooh.
yeah. But we'll
Interesting.
see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. I think back all the way to episode 1 when they dropped the prophecy at the end, and to me it was like, well, that's intriguing. Why are you dropping the prophecy in this show? Well, look at this now. The prophecy is now a major plot point, which is
Hmm.
going to divide these two families even further and put them at even greater odds now through the rest of the season and probably future seasons as well. So yeah, very very well done all around. We want to hear from you guys. What are your biggest takeaways from episode 8 of House of the Dragon? Drop your thoughts in the comments, or you can always email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowncitygeekcast.com. Awesome. I think that's it for this episode. We went on pretty long, and we got a review of Werewolf by Night that I'm probably going to publish tomorrow. So be sure to check that out on our YouTube channel at Countdown City Geeks. Be sure to watch another episode of the Ghost Heads Radio Show every Wednesday night, both on Facebook as well as YouTube. And then Thursday, the Countdown City WrestleCast is going live once again. They got a lot to talk about, some upcoming pay per views, and there's an interview in place that they're working on. I'm not gonna say who it is. Don't think like it's some WWE superstar, but a big local name that they're working on. So I'm just gonna tease that, and I'm not gonna say when that's gonna happen, but looking forward to that a lot. So yeah. We'll also talk more next week about the upcoming Black Adam movie, which drops on the 21st. So we'll do a little preview of that next Monday. We'll also talk about the She Hulk finale. We'll talk more Hot D. We'll talk more Rangz. The Rangz finale, is that next week as well? Or 2 weeks? No, sorry, 2 weeks
2
before
weeks.
that finale. Yeah. And then we'll talk more Andor. So lots to talk about. Looking forward to it. For the Countdown to the Geekcast, my name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me on this episode is the man behind the magic. You know him as Joe Garcia.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Greatly appreciate you guys' support. And make sure, like always, you like, subscribe, and share the Countdown City Geekcast. And we also look forward to maybe having some giveaways here in the near future. That is going to be a lot of fun. So, again, appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. And last but never the least, my partner in crime, the one only Matty B.
And check out the Redbubble, guys. Check out the Redbubble. Get some merch, and also Cooper Rush for president.
Oh gosh, don't even start. The moment you give them any hope, they rip your heart out.
This is our year, Teddy.
It
Don't
might
do
be, honestly. If you're playing
it's
like this
too
with Cooper
soon.
Rush, no, I don't know. It looks like a good year.
I will stay skeptical
This
as
is a good year.
every other Cowboy fan should.
That's okay. We don't want you back, Teddy. You can stay gone.
Have a good night, folks.